Well, it is official. The Oscars will officially consider movies that did not premiere in theaters as part of the Academy Awards this year, along with a couple other changes, although there are some catches, and of course, some of these changes might not be permanent. Hey everyone, this is Kevin, your failed journalist. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, consider clicking that subscribe button and ringing that bell notification so you could be notified of new content. So anyway, there has been a huge battle between the streamers and the Academy. Streaming sites like Netflix and Amazon want to have Oscar gold. They want the glory of the little naked gold bald-headed man in their pocket. And they go about different ways of doing it. Netflix cries tooth and nail about how the Academy is biased and unfair and outdated and refuse to conform to the Academy's very reasonable 90-day theatrical window. Places like Amazon actually do observe the 90-day theatrical window, and as a result, they probably get more Oscar nominations. Netflix has not yet won too many major awards except for documentaries and maybe a short film, I think. And Amazon has won some documentaries as well, and a few other awards. They've actually won acting Oscars for their movies, so that's kind of what it is. But in a year of a pandemic, what to do when movie theaters are closed? After all, Scoob was intended to be in theaters. So was Trolls World Tour. Do they automatically get disqualified from the Best Animated Feature Oscar just because movie theaters weren't open and the only way to get it to be eligible was to put it in a drive-thru? Is that fair? Well, apparently the Academy does not believe that is fair. However, there's some catches. So here's the article from Variety. The Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences has tweaked its Oscar eligibility rules in the wake of the C-virus pandemic. During a meeting on Tuesday, the Board of Governors approved a temporary, keep in mind, this is temporary, hold on the requirement that a film needs a 7-day theatrical run in a commercial theater in Los Angeles County and New York to qualify for the Oscars. Instead, films will be allowed to be released digitally without playing in theaters. However, that doesn't mean that any movie premiering on a streaming service is eligible for Oscar Gold. To be considered, the streaming film must have already had a planned theatrical release. The film must also be made available on the Academy Screening Room member-only streaming site within 60 days of the film streaming or VOD release. Now, this is an interesting complication because I can see that being, I don't know how you even enforce that. What if Netflix comes up and they say, oh, we plan for these films to be released in theaters? Now, they probably did, but what is the criteria to prove that they had, in fact, planned to be put in theaters? Is it a movie poster? Is it a commercial? Netflix usually doesn't make those things. I mean, they make the movie poster, but the movie poster is usually advertising the streaming date. They don't make commercials for TV because why would they? Their movie's going to be in theaters for 1 week, maybe 2 at the most, and then it's on streaming. So I kind of wonder how that's going to work. And what if you have a bunch of movies that, for example, the new Digimon movie, that was going to be in theaters for 1 night as a Fathom event. They didn't plan to have it for 7 days, but can they now go to the Academy and say, hey, we planned for this to be a theatrical movie for 7 days and we couldn't do it? I don't know. That's a good question. And what happens if they get released on disc? Do they have to still observe a 60-day window on streaming? It's really interesting how it's going to work out. So anyway, the Academy firmly believes there is no greater way to experience the magic of movies than to see them in theater, Academy President David Rubin and CEO Don Hudson sent a statement. Our commitment to that is unchanged and unwavering. Nevertheless, the historical tragic C-virus pandemic necessitates this temporary exception to our awards eligibility rules. The Academy supports our members and colleagues during this time of uncertainty. We recognize the importance of their work being seen and also celebrated, especially now when audiences appreciate movies more than ever. Once movie theaters are allowed to reopen, the 7-day window will once again be required for eligibility. Picks that have already streamed will not have to then be released in theaters. When theaters reopen, the Academy will also expand the number of qualifying theaters beyond Los Angeles County to include venues in New York City, the Bay Area, Chicago, Miami, and Atlanta, most likely because there's a real possibility some of those places will open before Los Angeles does. The Academy also announced that it will eliminate an Oscar category, which this is interesting. The sound mixing and sound editing categories will be combined into one award, reducing the total number of categories presented on the show to 23. This change was initiated by the sound branch. So can we finally get a Best 3D award then? I know they probably won't do that. But yeah, anyway, there is a difference between sound mixing and editing, but I kind of understand where they're coming from. Considering the same film usually wins both sound categories, you might as well just nominate the editors and the mixers in one category and just get it over with. As for the first time, also for the first time, all Academy members will be invited to participate in the preliminary round of voting in the International Feature Film. Members will have to meet a minimum viewing requirement to be allowed to vote. Now, this, by the way, is the most fascinating one for me so far. Because here's the thing. What does that mean? Well, basically, the foreign countries, or the international countries, as they're saying right now, it doesn't matter, all submit a movie to be considered nominated for the international film category. And of those movies, the Academy shortlists like 15 of them, and then they shortlist 10 of them, and then they vote on a final 5. Now, what this means with the preliminary round of voting is that every member, not just those in the international branch, can now vote on it. Now, what I find fascinating is a change like this was made to animated feature, best animated feature film, to disastrous results. People just voted for what their kids watched. Interestingly, they're doing the same thing for this category, but they're actually forcing Academy members to watch a certain number of films before they get to vote. Now, I would like to see that rule applied to the Best Animated Feature category, which I think would be better for everyone. But I digress. They don't take the animation category that seriously anyway. I'm actually kind of surprised it's still around. In the original score category, the board voted that a score must comprise of a minimum of 60% original music. Additionally, for sequels and franchise films, a score must have a minimum of 80% new music. Now, this rule has been kind of like a back and forth bickering squad for so long. Because when it comes to sequels, yeah, you're going to use themes from the original movie, but then it kind of gives, like, for example, movies like Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings multiple chances to win using essentially the same music. So they've been trying to figure out a compromise. At one point, they said you had to have completely original music, but then that ruled out a lot of sequels, many of which, if not all of them, had new music. So now a score must comprise of a minimum of 60% original music. It's interesting that they say just any film. So I guess technically John Williams can reuse themes from other movies, and as long as they account for less than 40%, his score can still be considered original. But if it's a sequel, it's got to be 80%. Like, basically, they want you to keep the main themes and then write new music. So that's interesting. In keeping with the Academy's ongoing efforts to be more sustainable, the board also voted to eliminate DVD screeners, which means no Netflix movies on disc. Like the TV Academy edict, DVD mailers will be banned after this year. In October, the Academy expanded its streaming room platform to include Best Picture hopefuls following its addition of documentaries, animated films, and shorts. Distributors are charged $12,500 per movie to screen on the platform. So basically, this is a way to cut on plastic, trash, and of course, the Academy makes some money doing it. So that's all the changes. Now, they didn't address the one question that I really had in my mind. Are there going to be seat fillers at the Academy Awards this year? Assuming they have a show in the Dolby Theater, which I'm kind of leaning towards they will. If they don't, then it doesn't matter. But if they do, something tells me there's still going to be some social distancing. They're probably still going to want to have certain seats, empty. Will seat fillers be a thing? Like, because, yeah, it looks kind of tacky when there aren't people there. But then we also know a lot of the people at the Academy Awards aren't actually invited. They're just sitting in a chair because it's for the TV audience at home. They want the audience to be filled. So that's what I want to know is going to happen with the show. If it's going to be live and it's going to be from the auditorium, are there going to be seat fillers? In the meantime, I agree with pretty much all these changes. The score one's probably the one that I'm the most shaky about. I don't know if I care that much. But yeah, considering the circumstances, you have to start considering movies that are going to stream. It it just has to happen. It's not fair to them. And in fact, if the theaters even shut down till October, heck, you might even just have to do nothing but the stream. And I think it's interesting that they're letting everyone in the Academy vote for the International Film Award, but they are requiring people to watch the films first. That's certainly a requirement. I think that should be there for the general Academy members who voted for The Boss Baby for Best Animated Feature Film. But anyway, that aside, what do you think of these rule changes? Do you agree with them? Do you disagree? I'd love to know. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.